Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. A potential Star Trek Strange New Worlds spin-off about Spock and Kirk gets an uncertain update. The world of Star Trek has greatly expanded in recent years thanks to the streaming service Paramount+, with Discovery, Short Treks, Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds, and the film Section 31 being released between 2017 and 2025. A prequel to the original series, which starred William Shatner as Captain Kirk and Leonard Nimoy as Spock, Star Trek. Strange New Worlds Season 3 is currently releasing new episodes, with 2 more seasons planned before concluding. Aside from Starfleet Academy, which is currently in production, the future of the Star Trek franchise has not been publicly mapped out. In an interview with Screen Rant's John Orquiola, Strange New Worlds showrunner gave a disappointing update about his idea to create a Spock and Kirk spin-off, commonly referred to as Star Trek. Year 1. Akiva Goldsman admitted it's not up to him whether the series gets made, especially as Paramount's new ownership has turned a lot of things at the company into question marks. For now, Goldsman is focused on the final 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds so that he can fulfill the promise that we made to fans. Once that important mission is complete, then he's hoping that executives will give him and executive producer Henry Alonso Myers the green light to create Star Trek. Year 1. As Goldsman noted, Paramount Plus is now under new ownership, so a lot of properties owned by the company could experience various changes in the coming months and years. As far as Star Trek is concerned, reports have indicated that the sci-fi property is still considered a priority. At this point, it's just a waiting game for fans and producers alike. Strange New Worlds is a universally acclaimed Star Trek series, with a 94% average score on Rotten Tomatoes, and die-hard fans praising the spin-off for feeling like a classic Star Trek show. It's also been nominated for multiple Emmy and Critics' Choice Awards. A spin-off of Strange New Worlds centered around iconic characters like Kirk and Spock seems inevitable. The show is a prequel to the original series that introduced them, and one of the main characters is Spock, played by Ethan Peck. Paul Wesley joined the show in a recurring capacity as none other than Kirk, and won a Saturn Award for the role. It's disappointing that Star Trek Year 1 has not been greenlit yet. Several Trek shows have been released in recent years, including Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds. There's not much concrete information about the future of this franchise right now, but hopefully, announcements will be made in the coming months, both for the big and small screens. The original series was canceled after only 3 seasons, so Star Trek Year 1 would be a great opportunity to go back and give a proper beginning to the iconic story. Like many shows of the era that were intended for syndication, Star Trek did not have a traditional pilot episode and dropped viewers into the middle of the story. Focusing on fan-favorite characters like Kirk and Spock for a Star Trek Strange New Worlds spin-off would be a very smart decision by Paramount+, so fans should cross their fingers that Goldsman's idea comes to fruition. When Paramount announced Star Trek Year 1, a bold new spin-off chronicling the earliest adventures of James T. Kirk and Spock aboard the USS Enterprise, fans across the galaxy rejoiced. Finally, the origin story of Star Trek's most iconic duo would unfold in a serialized format, blending the youthful tension of their first missions with the raw promise of the friendship that would shape Starfleet history. But after the initial excitement came a wave of frustration. News broke that the series was being delayed. Production was set to begin this fall, only to be pushed back indefinitely. Fans were left asking, why stall a project that already has the Trek fandom buzzing? The answer, according to a franchise executive producer, is both practical and deeply rooted in Trek's legacy. In an exclusive creative deep dive, we explore the reasons behind the delay, what it means for the franchise, and how Year 1 might ultimately benefit from this pause. No spin-off has carried quite as much weight as Year 1. It isn't just another Star Trek series, it's a direct prelude to the original series, where canon is already sacred and every detail carries consequence. The EP explained that rushing into production could risk undermining decades of storytelling. When you're handling Kirk and Spock, you're not just making another Trek show. You're building the foundation of the most legendary partnership in science fiction. Every word, every look, every decision has ripple effects. We'd rather delay than deliver something that feels half-baked. In other words, Paramount recognizes that Year One can't afford missteps. While Strange New Worlds managed to refresh legacy characters like Pike and Spock with critical success, this series goes even deeper into the roots of Trek mythology. That's a challenge that requires careful time and planning. The EP admitted that scripts were a major factor in the delay. Early drafts captured the excitement of Kirk's impulsive leadership style clashing with Spock's disciplined logic, but the creative team worried that the tone veered too close to parody. Fans know Kirk as bold, but not reckless. They know Spock as logical, but not cold. The scripts need to strike a balance where their personalities are still forming yet recognizable. That's a razor-thin line to walk. Rewrites are now focused on layering the characters with youthful vulnerability. Kirk struggling with the weight of command, Spock navigating his Vulcan heritage, and human half with rawer edges than we've seen before. The EP teased that Year One won't shy away from mistakes. Both men will stumble, miscalculate, and learn from each other long before becoming the legendary Starfleet officers of TOS. Star Trek has never been busier. With Strange New Worlds, Discovery's final season, animated hits like Lower Decks and Prodigy, and development on Michelle Yeoh's long-awaited Section 31 film, Paramount's Trek plate is overflowing. The EP admitted candidly, "You can only ask so much from a shared production team. Our crews, writers, and VFX artists are spread thin across multiple series. We want Year One to shine, and that means waiting until the franchise has the proper bandwidth. Simply put, the Trek machine doesn't want to burn out its talent or its audience with too much at once." By staggering releases, Paramount ensures that Year One won't get lost in the shuffle, but instead arrive as a headline event. Another delay factor lies in perfecting the dynamic between Paul Wesley's Kirk and Ethan Peck's Spock. Both have already established themselves in Strange New Worlds, but Year One demands a tighter spotlight. The EP explained that chemistry tests and workshops have been ongoing. Wesley and Peck work beautifully together, but this show is a different animal. It's essentially a two-hander at times, and that requires an almost theatrical intimacy. We want their relationship to feel raw, unpolished, and slowly evolving toward the Bond fans know and love. Insiders suggest additional supporting cast members are being carefully considered as well, including a young version of Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy, whose sardonic presence is crucial to balancing Kirk and Spock's intensity. The EP acknowledged one of the trickiest aspects of the spinoff, deciding how much canon to respect versus how much freedom to allow. Kirk and Spock's earliest interactions were never fully fleshed out in the original canon, leaving some flexibility. However, Trek fans are famously protective of continuity. The delay allows writers to consult with franchise historians, ensuring Year One doesn't accidentally contradict key lore. But innovation remains equally important. The EP teased that the show will feature entirely new alien encounters, unexplored Federation politics, and missions referenced but never seen in canon. We're not interested in fan service alone. This show needs to stand on its own legs while still honoring the DNA of Trek. Visual effects and production design. Another reason for the slowdown, production design. Star Trek shows now compete with blockbuster-level visuals, and Year One will need to showcase a slightly less polished Enterprise than the one we see under Pike or Kirk later in TOS. This requires new sets, costumes, and starship interiors that capture a transitional phase of Starfleet design. The EP admitted this work is already underway, but needs additional time to perfect. The Enterprise in Year One isn't a finished masterpiece. It's a work in progress, just like Kirk and Spock. That detail matters. The big payoff. Why the delay may be a good thing. While delays are always frustrating, the franchise EP stressed that patience will pay off. We're not pulling back because of problems. We're pulling back because this show deserves to be extraordinary. If fans are waiting a little longer, it's because we want to reward that wait with something unforgettable. Indeed, Trek history suggests delays often lead to success. The next generation faced early turmoil yet became iconic. Deep Space Nine evolved from skepticism into groundbreaking storytelling. Even Strange New Worlds was born from fan demand and patience, proving the franchise can flourish with time. What fans can expect when it finally arrives? Though the EP wouldn't commit to a firm timeline, whispers suggest Year One could premiere in late 2026, just in time for Star Trek's 60th anniversary celebrations. When it does arrive, fans can expect a raw Kirk and Spock, impulsive, conflicted, and still finding their voices. They focus on their evolving bond, moving from rivalry to respect, with flashes of the friendship that will define Trek. Exploration of uncharted missions, adventures hinted at in canon but never shown. Cameos from early Starfleet legends, possibly a younger McCoy, Uhura, or even Captain Pike's mentorship lingering in the background. Final thoughts. The delay of Star Trek. Year One may frustrate eager fans, but in the bigger picture, it signals something reassuring. Paramount understands the gravity of telling this story. Rather than rushing to cash in, the studio is taking the time to craft a series worthy of its legendary leads. If executed with care, Year One won't just be another spin-off. It will be the definitive origin of Spock and Kirk's friendship, the cornerstone of Star Trek itself. And when that moment comes, the wait will have been worth it. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.